Yo, what up? Happy Easter to everybody, and happy 420 to all the weed heads out there that's gonna celebrate 420. Anyway, um, watched the video last night on Peacock. I watched the match last night. A lot of people were saying that WrestleMania this year is looking kind of weak. It just felt like didn't feel like WrestleMania this year though. But the ending of it, where they did a triple threat match with CM Punk, Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins. Pretty decent match. Um, I kind of figured that somebody had to be a heel in this. Somebody had to be a heel because they had three baby faces in there. I said, man, somebody's got to become a villain in this. There's no way you can have three men. I kind of figured it was going to be Seth Rollins, and they pretty much hinted it. They hinted it. They showed the hints that Seth Rollins was going to be the villain in this. I kind of pretty much saw it because remember when we was on SmackDown, Paul Heyman was telling CM Punk that you're going to be at the main event, and Seth Rollins he was talking about no, you should not be at main event. You should not main event at WrestleMania. That right there was like a hint. That was a hint right there. That was a hint that Seth Rollins was going to go as a heel. So I kind of figured that he was going to turn heel, but not in this way of joining forces with Paul Heyman. So no one didn't really saw that part coming right there. No one saw that coming. Um, I'm not too surprised that Paul Heyman turned on Roman Reigns. I'm not too surprised that Paul Heyman turned on CM Punk. I'm not too surprised on that. Paul Heyman has a history of turning on people. He has a history of doing that. He turned on Brock Lesnar. Let's not forget when Brock Lesnar was younger. Paul Heyman turned on Brock Lesnar to join forces with the Big Show. I mean, Paul Heyman's got a history of turning on people, and besides, Paul Heyman is better off as a heel anyway. You know, Paul Heyman's never. I mean, Paul Heyman can play both characters, but we all know Paul Heyman is a natural born heel. He's a natural born heel, man. Paul Heyman does what's best for him. That's just what his character is, you know. And people saying like, Paul Heyman, this is gonna hurt Roman Reigns, all that stuff like that. No, it doesn't. Roman Reigns does not need Paul Heyman anymore. Paul Heyman was just the how do you say the engineer to help repackage Roman Reigns' character. That's all Paul Heyman was used for. They said, "Hey, Paul Heyman, we're gonna team you up with Roman Reigns because Roman because remember, man, Roman Reigns was getting booed, man. Like people couldn't stand this man when Roman Reigns called himself the big dog. People despised him, man. And with Paul Heyman helping Roman Reigns repackage his character, it saved Roman Reigns' career, man. So at the moment, man, no, Roman Reigns doesn't need Paul Heyman. Roman Reigns is pretty much his character is pretty much set. Roman Reigns is a whole lot bigger than he is now. Everybody know him as the Tribal Chief, so whatever little construction work and repackaging that Paul Heyman did to help Roman Reigns become the Tribal Chief, there's nothing else to be done with it. His Roman Reigns character is pretty much complete. So no, Roman doesn't really need Paul Heyman. I think he'll manage to be he's a tribal chief, so he'll be all right. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't really need him no more. Same thing with CM Punk. Punk don't need Paul Heyman. Punk can cut promos, and he doesn't need Paul Heyman to talk for him. So nah, Roman Reigns don't need Paul Heyman. He doesn't need him. Um, what does this mean for Seth Rollins though? This right here is going to push Seth Rollins to the next level. We'll see though. I mean, I don't see what's the point of Paul Heyman teaming up with Seth Rollins. Hopefully they'll make sense of this on Raw on why Paul Heyman decided to join forces with Seth Rollins. But Seth Rollins doesn't really need Paul Heyman though. I mean, but I kind of understand that if Seth Rollins is gonna turn heel, then yeah, it's it would make sense because I believe if Seth Rollins were to turn heel all by himself without Paul Heyman, I think fans would probably still cheer him. So with Paul Heyman in Seth Rollins' corner, it's definitely gonna force people to hate Seth Rollins and boo this man though. But Paul Heyman and Seth Rollins, they both have similarities. They're both similar. They both turn on people. I mean, you really got to look at the similarities. Seth Rollins, Paul Heyman's got a history of stabbing people in the back. Seth Rollins got a history of stabbing his friends and people in the back. He's got a history of doing that. So they both have similarities though, man. So we'll see where this is gonna go between Rollins and Paul Heyman. We'll see where this is gonna go. Hopefully, you know, bigger and better things. That this will help embrace Seth Rollins' um heel character. It's time for Seth Rollins to turn heel anyway. It's about time for him to turn heel. It is. I kind of feel like Seth Rollins being a babyface, even though he's kind of over with the fans and the fans sing his music or whatever like that. I kind of feel like Seth Rollins, uh, babyface is a little bit stale there a little bit, but you got somebody like Paul Heyman in this corner will help freshen up Seth Rollins' heel. It'll help refreshen it, fresh air. But we'll see though. I'm not gonna like judge it too fast, but we'll see where this is all gonna go. We ain't gonna see Roman Reigns no time soon. We're not gonna see him no time soon. Roman Reigns probably won't come back probably right around SummerSlam this year, which that'll probably be August. So we ain't gonna see him for a good while. But this right here would give something for CM Punk to do. CM Punk comes out there on Raw, cut a promo. He bashes Rollins. He bashes Paul Heyman. Give him something to do. But yeah. Other than that, man, it was an okay show. I'm waiting to see John Cena versus Cody Rhodes tonight. I'm gonna tune in and watch that, and I'll probably might make a video about that and give you guys my thoughts about it. But it was a lot of title changes of WrestleMania this year. I noticed it was a lot of title changes. So we'll see though. Anyway, peace.